Okay, good morning. We're up to Siman Reish Ches Sif Dalet. Sorry, Sif Hey. Sif Hey. Kemach. Afilu shel chitim mevorech olav shahakol. If a person eats flour, right? Why he would want to do that, I don't know. Maybe it's one of these very difficult wartime situations. But either way, he just wants to eat kemach, flour, raw. Afilu shel chitim, even if it's of wheat, mevorech olav shahakol. So even though it is a mezainas, is a way it comes from the ground, it's wheat, and that's the normal bracha for it. But if he eats it in this state of pure flour, then he makes a shahakal and a burn nefashos afterwards. Loishnon nitchon dak dak, whether it was ground very fine, v'loishnon nitchon ktsas odan yesh betam shel chitim, or it's less ground, and it's still got a tam of chitim. Loishnon kemach shel kloyos, and it doesn't make a difference if it's flour of like toasted grain. Either way, he makes a shahakal and a burn nefashos. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Yutes, afilu shel chitim, chashivi, v'kolshkein kemach shel sa'irim. Chitim and sa'irim, it's that order. Chitim is considered muchashav. So if you make on flour of chitim, certainly you make it on shahakal on flour of sa'irim. Mavorech olav shahakal, v'after ocheles hachita kashehu be'ein. Even if you ate the chita, the grain, whole, birchos ber priadoma. Canal, if you ate, like we spoke about yesterday, but if you eat whole grains which have not been cooked or roasted in any way, you're eating like whole piece of grain, you make a ber pradama. Here, here you've got the wheat, and it's been crushed and pounded so much. To make bread, you're making flour. So you're in the stage where it's not the ber pradama, it's not like kernels of grain. You've crushed it into flour, and it's not yet going to become bread or whatever else you're going to make, and therefore its bracha is shahakol. Dak dak, says Mishnah Berurah Chaf Aleph, Ratzolema, raw flour is not very nice to eat. And therefore you only make a shahakal because there's some sort of benefit that you get from it. Even if it's ground a little bit, okay, fine, that's sif hey. Sivov. Kamach shel echod michameshes minei dogon shesholkoi. You've got flour of any of the 5 grains that we spoke about. So that's chitim. We had them yesterday. Chitim, sa'irim. Where are they? Chitim, sa'irim. Kusmin, which is spelt. Shiboi leshur, which is oats, and shifon, which is rye. So any flour of these 5, if you cook them, shesholka, you boil them up. Pirush bishli harba. You boil them. Shlika is a long boiling. Ve'irvu b'mayim. And then you add water, b'sham mashkin or other things. If it was very, very thick, this flour and liquid mixture, if it was very thick, and you could eat it, and to chew it, pirush litri, imagine like a porridgey type of substance. Then pirush litri so b'peh, you can chew it in your mouth. Then mevarich ber minei mezonos v'achrav ala michya. V'im hoya rak, rach, if it was very soft, liquidy she'eroi l'shtir, that you could drink it, then mevarich olav shahakal v'achrav ber nefashos. Okay, so you got flour, and you add water and other things. If it's porridgey type, then you make a ber minei mezonos. But if it's a liquid type, then you would make shahakal. Says the Mishnah Berurah, sif cotton chofei. So the last way that you can chew it. Lav dafka chewing. Dafilimena of kolkach, even if it's not so thick, like a thinner type of porridge. Kiven she'ena rach she'eroi rak l'shtir. Even if it's not soft, that it's only really drinkable. Still, if it's somewhat thick, then mevarich alav borei minei mezonos. Then you'd make a mezonos. But if, however, it's more of a drink, a liquid, then you make shahakol. To kiven shamayim rabim olav, since you've got so much water there, that it becomes really more of a drink rather than a food. And if it's more of a liquid and you drink this thing, then you would make a bracha of shahakal like you would with water. Now, that's true as well with regard to beer, if you think about it. Beer is, he calls it, if you look at 17, if you've got barley beer and things like that, and really all types of whiskey and all these things, it comes from barley, but it's processed and therefore you make a shahakal. So that's just an application of this halacha really. Shekotz v'ashulchan aruch le'el, I'm just reading 17. Shekotz v'ashulchan aruch le'el, shemevarchin olav shahakal. So on this barley beer, you make a shahakal. Because of Mishnah Berurah, but the reason is why don't you make a bermin mizonis on these drinks? Because you only make a bermin mizonis on food. The sheichar eina bichlal zeh, and this is a liquid. This is a beer. It's clear. And therefore it's a drink. For Hosif Sham, and he adds, Tosim Brachas Lamed Ches says, Mashmid Shafilim Yeshbo Mine Dogon Bashir Kazais, but Pras Mevarchin Lov Shahakol. Even if there are bits of barley in it, which, if you're drinking a whole pint of this thing and you've got bits of barley which could amount to a proper share in the Kedei Achilas Pras, a Kazais and Kedei Achilas Pras, and therefore you could perhaps suggest that you make a bermin mizonos and alamicha, still on barley beer and all these things you make shahakol. And so too whiskeys and things like that, for sure you would make shahakol. Okay, carrying on the Mishnah Berurah, I'm 3 lines into Chaf Gimel. V'chol zeh hu dafka b'kemach shema moshe oisa be'ein. That's particularly true with kemach, with flour, which is mamosho oisa be'ein, where you've got the bits of wheat, of grain in it, or mispatel b'ribu hamayim, and it's been bottled because of the majority of water. Aval oisa tavshel mimine gropin. Now, if, however, you have some sort of barley soup, we've had that before. You've got grain and you've got a soup, and someone said we spoke about minestrone soup. In the minestrone, is there barley, or is it just a piece of vegetable? And you've got noodles, you said. Yeah. So here we're talking about barley soup or things like that. So avala'isa tavshel mimine groifen, which he says at the bottom, is grissim. Now grissim is translated as groats. Groats is where you've got the kernels of grain with water, and the shell has been removed, the husk. I think it's called the hull. It's called hull. It's a process where you take away the husk of the actual grain. So you add the tavshel mimine groifin. You've got groats. Shenase mechameshes mine dogon, of one of the 5 types of grain we spoke about. Kagoin hanasim b'dinosenim misoerim v'shebolis shual. You make in my country, says the Chofetz Chaim, from oats and barley, etc. Shenechla kol girin l'shnam. You split them. V'nosen b'hem mayim harbe ad she'ena roi rak l'sorfei. That is sort of, you can only toast it. Shekorin zupa, right? I think that means soup. Yeah, marak, he says, which is soup. Ein hagarfin b'teinin l'gavi hamayim, b'kivin shein bo'ein. There, you've got the kernels of barley in the soup, and they haven't been bottled. Or mine dogon lo botli. And when it comes to mazonos, they don't cancel out so easily. V'tzorich levorech ala grevin bermin mazonos. So I think that is describing your barley soup, where you've got kernels of barley in the soup, and it's not bottled, and taki you make a bermin mizonos on the barley soup. You could argue that the water is not bottled against them, because it was made for drinking, not for eating. So you could argue that maybe this was ultimately made to drink, and therefore the water is not really bottled, and therefore you'd make a shahakol. The best thing to do, he says, is to make a shahakal on the water, and then to make a bermin mizonos on the barley, these groats. It would actually be better to make a shahakal on a separate thing, on another drink, and that will cover the liquid part of this soup. If there are other things in it, could go in retzka greifen, which he says is gruse kusemes, is groats made out of spelt. Shenasim beribu mayim she'enim ruim lachila berak lezupa. That's not edible. That's just soup. Then mevorech bracha achas shahakol. Then you definitely make 1 bracha of shahakol. Ta greifen is spatlu gabi hamayim. Now, if you look at 19. This comes to sort of your the minestrone question. So you've got mixtures of soup where you've got a bit of mazonis in it and you've got bits of vegetable as well. So what do you do there? So if you look at 19, he says, "Le'inyan marak yeraka," it's a vegetable soup. Shenosen bo ma'at grisim, where you've got a bit of these grain, barley, whatever it may be, in the actual soup. Hayragon Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. in the Sen Bracha. This is not just a thickening agent, but rather the purpose of putting the grain in is for eating and for satiation. That becomes the ikka. So if you've got some sort of minestrone soup where grain has been put in, imagine like a barley soup, and you've got little bits of carrots and things like that, then you would make a bermin mizonos.
But if you have barley and cholent, you use the same svara here to
He
make
said.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly the same.
You shouldn't eat it
separately.
You shouldn't eat it separately.
Well, no, so we said yesterday about chulent.
It's eating together.
Eat it separately.
Right, so we said yesterday with chulent, if it comes up on one spoon, and you've got barley and you've got bits of meat and potato or whatever, you make a bermin mizonos. We said that if you're on one spoon, it comes up separately. Sometimes you have a bit of potato or a bit of meat, so you make a hadama, you make a shakal, your people put kigel in it, then you have a bit of kigel there, make a bit of hadama, if you see the strands, etc. Here, I think it's the same thing. If you've got, it's because on one spoon you've got bits of barley and you've got bits of water and you've got bits of vegetables, you wait one bracha mizonos.
But we didn't say that by cholent. By cholent we said make a bracha what comes up on the spoon. So
No, but pretty much on every spoon you've got a mixture. Most chulent, when you have on one spoon, you've got a mixture. So then we saw yesterday that you make one bracha of mizonos. If, however, on one spoon you only have a bit of potato, then you make hadama. You only have a bit of meat, then you make a
shakal. If you pick out the
shakal.
barley to make a mizonos on the cholent beforehand, then you put everything else in.
Yeah, nechami. So if the we one bracha for everything, yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. Okay. We'll leave it there. Say no.